Alright, Jose Monkey. Let's see what we can do with this one.
You asked me to figure out where this video was recorded, so I did. Hi, I'm Jose Monkey, and I find people who ask to be found. I've shown you guys lots of examples of finding people when they're standing in parking lots where there are lots of businesses around that I can search for. But what if they're standing on the side of the highway with no business in sight? Can I still find them?
Bro, you just said you found it, so I'm gonna go with yes.
Well, what would you prefer? Do you want me to say, you asked me to figure out where this video was recorded, and maybe I can, but you're gonna have to keep watching to find out?
No, okay, stop. Forget I said anything.
The video's about 20 seconds long. Check it out.
Alright, Jose Monkey. Let's see what we can do with this one.
So what can we see? This person shows us a piece of paper that they've used to craft a Find Me sign, and we can see that they've crossed out the letterhead on this paper, which I assumed was done to hide some information that they did not want me to see. As they raise the camera, we can see that they're near a large highway, and we've got some road signs, but they're mostly either facing the other direction, or in this case, they're just too far away to read. They turn the camera and show us some passing cars. I also noted that we have some noise barriers on the far side of the road. I'll come back to that. We see a truck pass by that says Kroger on the side. And then as they keep turning, we can see that there are some towers on either side of the highway here. And we have another set of road signs off in the distance. They are also not readable. Next, we see a billboard that is mostly obscured by trees. Then they turn to the right and show us the trees and the snow here, which is not super helpful. Finally, they turn the camera all the way back around, and when they do, they show us just a glimpse of another billboard. And then they end the video by showing us their sign once again.
Kinda looks like Jersey.
I agree, there are places in New Jersey that look like this, but there are lots of places in lots of different states that look like this. So I was going to need some way to narrow this down. I did notice that the cars that we see passing by don't appear to have front license plates. That suggested that this was a place that does not require front tags, which rules out New Jersey and like 29 other states. Now you may have guessed that the billboards would be the big clue here, but they were not as immediately helpful as they might have been. This first one was pretty hard to make out, but I was thinking that this first word that we can see here is the word size. And once I concluded that, I thought that maybe the word that follows it is matters to form the phrase size matters.
Hey, yo.
I tried Googling for billboards with the phrase size matters on it, and I soon discovered that the Morgan & Morgan law firm uses that slogan on several of their billboards. In fact, this one here looks very similar to what I think we're seeing in the video. Of course, that didn't help very much because the reason that Morgan & Morgan uses that slogan, size matters, is because they are a huge national law firm. So billboards like this show up all across the country. Now that other billboard was a bit easier to read, but we can't see the whole thing. We can see the word accident at the top of the billboard, preceded by a word that appears to end with the letter CK. I took a guess and figured maybe it said truck accident. On the bottom part of the sign, we see the name Keller, and that is preceded by a word that ends in LED. I thought maybe that would be the word called, so called Keller, but that phrasing seemed kind of odd to me. I did a little bit of Googling for the words I thought I was seeing, and while I didn't find a billboard that matched what I was seeing in the video, I found that there is a personal injury law firm called Keller & Keller. Their website told me that they practice law in Indiana, Michigan, and New Mexico. Now we were getting somewhere. If that was in fact the right law firm, that could narrow it down to those 3 states. None of those 3 states require front plates, so that was a good sign. But I very quickly ruled out New Mexico as a bit less likely than the other 2. Now you might think that's because of the snow, but it may surprise you to learn that it does snow in New Mexico. But a better reason to exclude New Mexico is that Kroger truck that we saw. I would not expect to see a Kroger truck out in New Mexico, though Indiana or Michigan made a lot more sense. Now I mentioned that this person made an improvised sign out of a scrap of paper, and they attempted to redact some information from the top of it. So we can see that they scratched out this bit at the top, which right away looked to me like the sort of letterhead that you might find on hotel stationery. In fact, I suspected that this word we see at the bottom was hotel. After looking very closely at the hastily scratched out text, I was able to make out a little bit of what it said. I felt like the last word that I was seeing here was springs. We can also see a logo or crest of some kind at the top of this letterhead that looks sort of like a monogram. It looked to me like it had stylized letters in it, and the letters appeared to be WBS. So I googled for WBS Springs Hotel logo, and I almost immediately got a match for the West Baden Springs Hotel. Comparing their logo to what we see in the video, it looked like a match. West Baden Springs Hotel is in West Baden Springs, Indiana, so Indiana was looking more and more likely. At first I thought maybe I could look at billboard locations in the state of Indiana, hoping to find where these particular billboards were. And guys, I tried looking at a few different sites from billboard companies to see where they have available boards that you can choose to rent, but I did not really have much luck finding this that way. If you happen to know how you can search for a particular company's billboards in a particular state, I would love to know more about that. Though keep in mind, in this particular case, this video is from February of last year, so the ads very well may have changed. Anyway, I abandoned the billboard idea. Now, I mentioned that we can see noise barriers on the side of the road here. Now, those are not terribly common. You usually only find them on major roads like interstates, and even then, only when they pass through residential areas where noise is more of a concern. Based on the size of the road that we see in the video, I figured an interstate was pretty likely. Now, in Indiana, noise barriers are most commonly found on the 465 loop. That is the beltway that encircles Indianapolis. So I thought maybe this spot would be somewhere on 465 near where there are noise barriers. Those are the spots marked in red on this map. I also knew that I should probably be looking for an emergency pull-off lane or something like that, because this person appears to be on a section of road that leaves the interstate, but then rejoins it shortly after. So I just started looking at spots on the 465 beltway that match those criteria. And I did that for a long time. But eventually I found this spot. And guys, you know that was it. You were here in Warren Township, Indiana. I used a Google Street View to confirm the view of the barriers on the other side of the highway, and also this view looking south down the interstate. I learned that those distant signs that we see here are advising motorists of upcoming exits for I-70. You were parked in this emergency pull-off area as I suspected, and you were standing right over here, by this tree. After I found this, I embarked on a side quest to see if I could find those billboards from the video and see if my suspicions about what they said were correct. And while this billboard has been consistently in use by the Morgan & Morgan law firm, the latest photo shows a different ad campaign, not the Size Matters campaign. I looked through some of the historical photos of this same billboard, and while I did see various different versions of ads that Morgan & Morgan ran on this particular billboard, including one that had the Size Matters slogan, I could not find one that matched exactly what we see in the video. And I had the same problem with the other billboard. While I did find photos of 3 different Keller & Keller ads on that specific billboard, I could not find one that matched the same design that we see in the video. But guys, I had one more trick up my sleeve. Because the Google 3D model of this area is very detailed. And it just so happens that whenever that model was last updated, the photography that they used must have been from right around the same time that this video was recorded. Because both of the boards exactly matched what I was seeing in the video. So that was kind of fun. By the way, in case you're wondering how much of a clue that West Baden Springs Hotel stationary was, this is actually pretty far away from that hotel. That's like a 2-hour drive. It's over 100 miles away. Speaking of distance, it's time to check which previous location was closest to this one. And this time it was the place I found in Season 1, Episode 44 in Indianapolis. The location in that video was about 7 miles or 11 kilometers away from the spot. Guys, go check out the map of all the places I found for you so far from the videos you sent me. And if anybody else wants me to find them, record a video where you say, "Find me, Jose Monkey," or something like that on camera, or hold up a sign that says something similar. And don't forget to tag me in a comment on that video.